pay attention to this. And let's give it up to Alfredo. Please come into stage.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you. I'm going to try to explain why Argentina can turn a lot of those crises that we've lived along the years and make it into an opportunity for growth. So there's this very famous quote from a Nobel Prize winner, Simon Kuznets, from the 70s. It says that there are 4 kinds of countries in the world: developed, underdeveloped, Japan, and Argentina. And what he meant by that is that developed countries, of course, everyone knows. Underdeveloped, everyone knows. Japan, because no one knows why it's developed. And Argentina, because no one knows why it's underdeveloped. But it wasn't always like that. Actually, in the start of the last century, in the early 1900s, Argentina was a developed country. It was always top 5 or top 10 in GDP per capita. In 1902, it was double the GDP per capita of Japan. And then, as we can see in the graph, things happened, and it started shifting, especially after the First and the Second World War, where Japan developed and Argentina didn't. So this is a very intuitive information regarding what Kuznets was saying in his quote. Now we can see the same for the other developed countries. We all started around $4,000 in GDP per capita in the early 1900s, and then the developed countries continued developing, but Argentina cannot stay the same. So we can see the path from the early 1900s until today of what Argentina means in terms of the world rank in GDP per capita, and as we see, it's declining rather continuously. So basically, everyone watching would say, what's going on? So we're pretty unique in terms of going backwards. It's probably the only country that started being top 5 in development in the world, and it turned basically now to the backlot of countries being underdeveloped. That's probably the only case in the world. What did we do? Basically make all the wrong calls. In the early 1900s, we had basically an oligarchy governed by meat exports and a lot of capital inflows and infrastructure coming in. Between the world wars, basically we halted commerce. We didn't incorporate any technology, and we started falling back in terms of investments. And after 1945, all the bad decision-making started coming in, and basically picked the wrong side, declaring war on the winners 3 days before World War II, was finished. And we got basically a populist government with a very strong anti-capitalist bias that killed productivity, killed investment, and basically depleted all the capital reserves. So that basically demolished all institutions, especially economic institutions. That took us almost to the 1990s. We had there 10 years of basically of a liberal stance government with capital inflows basically and some stability, but no profound reforms. So that lockdown reforms paved the way for the populist government to return. And basically, for those last 20 years, we had a corruption-based populist government. They depleted the rest of the capital and the rest of the institutions, and of course they aligned internationally with the wrong bunch. So it was very costly for society in all. And in 2025, we started sort of again with a very liberal government probably the most liberal in Argentine history and one of the most liberal in the world, and they're still fighting now, trying to get and pass some reforms. So basically all these bad calls just killed the Argentine currency. In Argentina, anyone that's 50 years old or older has lived through 3 hyperinflations and at least 4 deposit confiscations. So in 1975, we had a hyperinflation with more than 50% a month inflation. In 1989, we had 124% a month. It turned out to be 2,600 annual inflation. In 2023, we had a 25% inflation in the month of December, annualized projection with 1,425%. And also, in 85, 90, 2001, 2002, and 2008, we have basically deposit and private sector confiscation from the government that took all the deposits and also the private pensions funds. So it's very difficult to construct any growth against that. Mostly because of fiscal deficits, all through the century from the 1900s on, all the red bars are fiscal deficit years, and only those 6 or 8 are the 90s stability period where you have a very small fiscal surplus. And you see last year is a very, very small fiscal surplus. So basically populist governments, what they do is they build on fiscal deficit. And they also, of course, default the sovereign debt. Argentina is the world champion in defaulting sovereign debt. Those are all the instances from 1827 all the way to 2020 where we had or either full or partial defaults. And those defaults, of course, hinder the credibility of the government and the interest rate that the government can finance that deficit. So if you have high deficit, you killed your own currency by basically degrading it and with deposit confiscations. And also, you kill external financing by defaulting the external debt. The only tool available to finance fiscal deficit is through sovereign currency debasement, meaning you get inflationary tax, right? You tax the people through inflation. So everybody in Argentina knows that the currency will debase basically forever, so they reject local currency, and government usually bans financial exchange from peso to other international currencies. So everybody still uses the US dollar. This is a newspaper from 1971 declaring that it's a felony to buy US dollars. Actually, this is still in place. It's still considered a felony in Argentina if you buy US dollars outside the regulations. Of course, no one cares about this, and everybody still buys it. So expensive stuff, you buy cash in USD, and half the economy is basically informal in cash because of all these dynamics. So banks can really participate in economic activity, and banks are the main driver for economic growth through loans and deposits. And if you see all through the last decade, but basically all through its history, Argentina has only had an average a little bit over 10% of loans to the private sector. And if you look at any developing country, it's between 6 and 8 times more than that. And of course, an advanced country is 15 times more than that. And also, Argentina is the champion of the world in terms of holding US cash, because the economy transacts in cash because of what I've explained of all these bad decisions. So basically, economics agents have only one exclusive nominal anchor, which is the exchange rate between Argentine pesos and dollars. And because of all those debasement events, economic agents basically reject Argentine peso. So we end up having multiple exchange rates to the US dollar, basically those that are allowed and those that are not allowed, but people use anyway. It's very difficult to put a graph or to put numbers into this if you're not from here and if you're not used to the currency being debased basically every year of your life. So in 1881, we had our first national bill. As in every other country in the world, banks used to issue bills, banks used to issue cash, and it only got nationalized only a few years ago, a few decades ago, to be exact. Argentina was one of the first countries to actually enact a central bank, and that was in the early 1900s. But in 1881, we had our first national bill. It was like a centralized national bill, and it was worth 1.04 Argentine pesos for each dollar. So it was pretty much 1-to-1 to the US dollar. So we started 1-to-1 in 1881. And then we started changing the currency because of hyperinflations or high inflation. So governments would change the currency to try to generate some sort of trust in the new currency. So we took 3 zeros in 1970, 3 more in 83, 3 more in 86, 3 more in 91, and then in 2014 we established the peso as the last currency. But since then, we've multiplied that for 1,500. So it was 1-to-1 in 2014. Actually, it was 1-to-1 in 2000, again with the US dollar, the 1 peso, $1 until 2000. And since then, it's 1,500 now. So in the last currency exchange, we added 1,500 times. And it's very difficult to manifest in numbers. So I did a calculation, it's all right there. How many 1 peso bills from 1881 you would need to buy $1 bill, same dollar from 1881 that is still current now. So even the AI couldn't picture this. But if you fill the Boca Juniors Stadium with bills, you need to build a tower with 1 peso bills to buy $1 today. And it couldn't get it because the tower needs to be 1,500 miles tall. All right. So the IA, I've tried the IA prompting it. I'm very good at prompting AI. I've tried prompting it. It couldn't get it. It didn't get it. So I had to sort of try to make it, and it still doesn't work. But you can imagine, it's a 1,500 mile high tower of 1 peso bills that started 1-to-1 in 1881 to buy just $1 US today. Now, if you think, okay, that goes like to the stratosphere. No, you're wrong. It goes to the exosphere. All right. So that's how tall it needs to be, and that's how you can get an idea of what it means to debase the currency constantly. So even with all that shit going on, we in Argentina are specialists in enduring, in thrive, in inventing, in finding different ways to move forward. Actually, we build products, we build stuff. I used the typo purposely. If anyone knows about hodling, well, we know about building. We are the only underdeveloped country that's funded 11 unicorns. A unicorn is a company that's worth more than $1 billion. So we have Argentine founders of 11 unicorns. That's the only underdeveloped country that gets so many. And we are very high in all the rankings in cryptocurrency adoption. We're very early on, and we're very high in all the rankings. And this is basically because we have no institutional currencies and we have no banking system. So we're still building, and we keep building stuff around all these problems, trying to get technology to use technology. So Ethereum actually built a golden bridge for Argentines to go above all that labyrinth of bad decisions and bad regulation. People very early resorted to crypto wallets, stablecoins, DeFi, and decentralized technology to overcome all these difficulties. And Ethereum actually technologically allows for money 2.0. It allows us to build better tools, to build better money. And those are not dependent on a government. You can do it decentralized. So this gives Argentina, and especially Argentines, a golden ticket into a more developed economy where you can build tools to get the ability to transact, save, invest, and even work remotely, integrated into advanced economies. And you don't have to tolerate bad policy as much anymore. So we can also build a better economy at home. I'll mention what I'm building with, of course, a group of partners, and it's a digital peso stablecoin. It's USDC, but actually peso denominated. We have a stand here in the DeFi district. Please come by and say hi. But basically, what you do is you sign up, you send fiat pesos to a digital bank account number that we issue, and 15 seconds later you have digital pesos on the blockchain. The same amount, no fees. And this basically allows, of course, 24/7 payments, transactions, and also it allows the most played Argentine sport, which is buying USD. And you can buy USD via USDC, USDT, or any other US stablecoin, frictionless and free of any regulations or limitations or even banking hours. So we have a lot of use cases like every other stablecoin, B2B payments, actually treasury management, of course points of sales, and of course onboarding and bridges, and also on and off ramping, very efficient for into Argentina and out of Argentina. So anyone running a business that needs on and off ramping, come and see us. We can talk to you. So even after all the bad shit that I talked about, what we've done, or actually other people have done with our institutions, after this week, if you come from abroad, you will have met the friendliest people. You will have eaten the best meat ever. You will have drunk the best wine. You will have been greeted by the greatest hosts to guests in the world. We love having guests. We're great hosts. We're very heartwarming. You will have lived with our passion. And of course, you will want to come back for sure. Hopefully, we will be in a much better position. So, here we stand once more, looking for actually the way to make it. We're very used to it. As more Argentines lend their way to this liberating technology that we see in Ethereum, we will build, of course, a better future for ourselves with these great tools. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And yes, I just want to recap a little bit about it. So we have more seeing all the crises. And if you are not from Argentina, and if you're not from Latam, and you're from another country, continent, now you know a little bit more about the history and the problems and the crisis and how blockchain is trying to help solve this problem. And I want to give a shout out also to our audience live stream. So you can go to the Ethereum Foundation YouTube channel if you want to rewatch again, or you want to learn more about this and watch all our talks so far. So again, I'm going to repeat, the Ethereum Foundation YouTube channel. Okay, now, if there is any question, please raise your hand and we will pass you the mic. Okay, yes?
Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿En español puede ser? Sí.
Sí, en español.
Quería saber si es que están recibiendo los depósitos en una cuenta, ¿esos depósitos se pueden usar para generar intereses o ganancias, por ejemplo, como un banco tradicional o no necesariamente?
Sí, hay un producto que está por lanzar la próxima semana que permite staking de esos DIPes y te va a pagar la tasa de interés en peso argentino, que es una tasa muy competitiva, superior al 25 o 30% anual, eh, con el staking de esos DIPes. Y puede ser.
Ah, ya. Y otra pregunta también era, hablabas de una operación 24/7. ¿Significa que en el mercado local no se puede operar 24/7 con el peso o qué
Bueno,
significa eso?
a través de los bancos tienen horarios, pero lo cierto es que ahora con la tecnología es muy posible, sí, transaccionar en la mayoría de los horarios, pero los bancos tradicionales todavía tienen horario, como en todo el mundo, ¿verdad?